I wish they had asked while they were sitting there, what is Star Spencer's teachers' opinions on CRT? How do they feel about teaching racism in school, especially the week that a racist, white supremacist mass shooter targeted black folks? Because here's Ryan Walters weighing in another one of his psychotic car
I just wanted to
videos.
provide an update to Oklahomans about the work I've been doing to ensure critical race theory is not in our schools. I sent a letter to textbook companies telling them to look at all of their curriculum and ensure that there's no aspects of critical race theory in their textbooks. I've also sent out a letter to the textbook committee in the state that approves textbooks and told them that they need to be looking into this, that they need to make sure that all aspects of this radical indoctrination is not in our schools, it's not in our textbooks. I will continue to listen to parents and work with parents to ensure that their kids are getting a great education. Thank you to all the teachers, too, that have reached out and told me about some of these issues going on. I will always stand with our parents to make sure our kids have a great education. I will always work with our teachers to make sure they're given the resources needed to be effective in their schools without indoctrination, without far-left radical ideology. So I will always fight for our kids. I will always make sure that we've got the best curriculum available and that it doesn't have any kind of indoctrination. I just wanted to provide...
He is talking about being anti-indoctrination, even though he is like all about like, you know, Christian nation and all that. Anyway, the whole CRT thing is just pure astroturf. Like the state of Oklahoma passed a law saying we're banning this, House Bill 1775, and the State Department of Ed literally set up like a hotline to request like, hey, if you're worried about this, hit us up, we'll take action. And they've gotten zero complaints. Like not a single person has reached out to complain that we're teaching CRT or any of this shit. So, you know, all this stuff is just stand-in for racism and making white people feel bad.
I just would really like some polling of like what students want. Do they want to learn CRT? Maybe we fucking ask them if they want to learn it. Maybe the kids at Star Spencer wanted to learn it. Like, it's... As a black person who grew up in a predominantly white town, like, I would have killed to have one lesson one day that talked about anything to do with race relations and how history affects our current day. That would have been life-changing for me, and it would have changed a lot of things about how I learned, how I interacted with the world. But instead, we're dancing around the feelings of little white kids who, number one, I don't think I've ever, like, heard of a white person really being, like, offended when they're taught about slavery. Like,
yeah.
No white person, I mean, if they are, then they're doing something wrong, clearly. But, like, no white person was like, oh, no, slavery, like, they didn't know what they were doing. Like, it's okay. Like, that's not a thing. So, just calm down. Little white kids aren't going to lose sleep overnight trying, like, thinking about if their fucking great-great-grandfather was a slave owner or not. Like, it's not an issue.
The other thing, too, is, like, this makes it harder for us to teach what actual, like, local history is like. And I don't just mean, like, the state of Oklahoma, but, you know, we have, I mean, I just remember growing up and, you know, me being in Putnam City schools, and we never really talked about, like, Clara Looper. We never really talked about Ada Lewis Fisher. Like, we never really spoke even about, like, you know, the history of Oklahoma's black towns, or really what, you know, the history of the nations here in America with the indigenous people. Like, we didn't really talk about it. It was always just like a brush about it. You know what I do remember is sitting in my class, and what's that one movie about, like, the cowboy? Like, he's not a cowboy. He's like, they're all like hunting after somebody, and there's a little girl involved.
I have no idea.
Some movie, but I mean, it was a half a semester too. Like, they only teach you so much. They don't want you to know a lot. And then another thing that I also like to say this is, like, you know, being in high school, like, we took world history, which really was European history. Yeah. Like, I did not learn anything about my people, where we come from, our experience in the United States of America, what America took, used, or bought from us. Like, none of that sort of stuff. It's always just like British history and the American history and European history. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's net like this whole issue in regards to critical race theory and everything like that. As far as I'm concerned, the only critical race theory you've been teaching me is of the white race and not of any other race whatsoever, and the white race's interactions with people that they formerly fucked over.
Most of this shit I learned about black people, I learned in AASU, African American Student Union, and that's where I learned about the freedmen. That's where I learned about Buffalo Soldiers. And, like, none of that shit ever leaked into, like, actual curriculum. Like, the only people who knew about it are the kids who, like, actively sought out that information, which happened to be all of the other black students. It's like, there is a craving to know our history, to know what we are, to not just feel like we're just some fucking number in the system of America. But God forbid little white kids get their feelings maybe hurt. Probably not. It's mostly just the parents just getting mad that their kids are actually learning history that's relevant to what's going on today. So,
And especially posting this stuff the week where an 18-year-old, so this is a kid who had either just graduated or might have even still been in school. A guy, an adult who's, very recent graduate. Like, they got, they're saying, went down the 4chan, dark web type indoctrination thing. I mean, we know, committed a horrific act of violence. Like, we know that this is like a problem. Like, it is an identifiable problem that is leading to serious losses of life and terrorism in communities of color. I mean, why? You can't even equate like an opposite to it, right? Like anyway, it blows my mind that people are so scared to talk about this stuff when it's having such a real and tangible impact on our society. And it's not the way that guys like Ryan Walters portray it. It's not like violence against white people is the problem. It's definitely the other direction. So, anyway, America has to reconcile this. We have to come to terms with it. We have to face it. And not talking about it or criminalizing talking about it it's just it's so crazy to me. Like,
I just love, we're still on about this parents' choice shit, but, like, this is just the government making all these choices and telling the parents that it's their choice.
Yeah.
It's not, it's so...
Yeah, it's like, I want my kids to learn about racism, and I want them to grapple with it. Like, I think that's actually a good thing. So I think that's going to make them a better human. So you're actually taking away my rights right now, asshole. Like,
goodness
anyway.
gracious.
But it's smart. Like, what they did is smart. They told us that, like, they found something that one of our scholars was talking about, turned that into an issue, made it seem like it was our faults that we want to have this a particular kind of education that they were already teaching in the first place, and then decided to exacerbate it even further by putting legislation that even prevents us from doing it. So, yeah. They're stripping away.
Well, and related to that, because I think it's like exactly what you just described. Like, it's just a AstroTurf campaign. This is where I think this like gay panic, trans panic is coming from. Ryan Walters again. And this is so disgusting from a guy who is like tasked with, supposed to be protecting kids. Protecting our kid, or serving all kids. Protecting our kids from woke liberal policies is a strong Oklahoma value. I could not be more pleased that our legislators are committed to making sure our girls are kept safe by passing Senate Bill 615. It's a common sense bill and a huge victory against the radical left.
Girls are kept safe? Tell that to the girls at Mount St. Mary.
Yeah, seriously.
All right.
You love your private school. Go talk to them there about how safe that's been for them.
Yeah, and all...
There's literally not a single instance of like anyone ever getting, assaulted by a trans person in a bathroom. Like, literally has never happened.
I think there was a response to this tweet further down that was like, okay, great. And what are we going to do about the teachers that are like grooming students or like trying to hook up with them? Because whenever I was in high school, at least 2 or 3 scandals involving teachers trying, like, either actively,
Yeah.
like, having sex with a student or sending inappropriate pictures to them. It's like, that is way more of a threat. I've literally seen one of my teachers dick pics like that. But I never get scared when I go into the bathroom. So
Yeah,
we're
this is
worrying
the
about the
most
wrong thing.
grotesque, like, moral panic and targeting a significantly marginalized group. So the shucked version, and this is from Freedom, Oklahoma, the shucked version of Senate Bill 615, which establishes a system of bathroom gender policing and bans trans, two-spirit, and gender-diverse students from the ability to just go to the bathroom while at school, had its first substantial hearing in the legislature today in the Senate, followed by an immediate hearing in the House. So, I mean, I guess there still is a chance that Stitt could veto this, but of course, highly unlikely.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the statement from Freedom Oklahoma says it all, but this is just such a senselessly cruel bill targeting just extremely vulnerable children. Like, I don't know. Anybody who campaigns on this, runs on this, votes for this, I mean, you are just a terrible person. Like, you're just the worst kind of bully who, I mean, these are kids that are just trying to go to the fucking bathroom. Just let them go to the bathroom. Like, we don't need to cause this, like, panic about it. We don't need to pass laws about it. And it's all just to distract from the fact that, like, they're giving millions of dollars to Swadleys, or they're giving, running our state into the fucking ground. It's so gross. It is so gross.
Still fighting over the bathrooms. Like, we've been fighting over the bathrooms forever. Black people can't use the bathroom. Trans people can't use the bathroom. It's like, fine, I'll just piss on your fucking floor then. Like, what the fuck do you want? But yeah, like, we have so many issues in our schools. And to focus on the bathroom is just, it's completely negligent, and it's incredibly incompetent.
They want to fine people or fine the district, right?
Yeah, it's something like 5. I think the thing is if you pass a policy, or if you implement a policy in your district where you make accommodations for kids to use the bathroom they want, I think they would cut your funding by 5%. I mean, the only good silver lining here is, like, this bill almost has to be illegal. Like, I mean, like, or unconstitutional.
Yeah, we're going to cut your funding.
Yeah, I mean, once you start getting into stuff like that, I mean, you'll start violating Title IX rules. So, I mean, you could lose, millions of dollars in federal funding. I mean, so states can go down, but it just causes gross moral panic, and it causes people to target trans people. I mean, it's just grotesque.
So are we going to have, like, bathroom attendants like we have hall monitors? Are we going to hire somebody who stands outside the bathroom
and examines children's genitals? Like, what? Like, I mean, just the implementation of this just is it's so crazy to think out.
Hey, what you're saying is something that could actually possibly happen.
Right.
Because guess what? In countries all across the other world, they're like how they constantly keep citing that, like, in these undereducated, fundamentally religious countries that they fucking do the shit to. We're not too far off here, folks.
Yeah.
We're not too far off.
No. We're exactly what they pretend to complain about other countries for.
This shit is stressful. It's like every day these people wake up and they're like, whose rights are we gonna fuck with today?
Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.